What if the guard who split this fan base right down the middle was suddenly back in purple and gold today? Not next week? Not after the deadline today? What if the phone calls were already made? The role already pitched, the minutes already mapped, and the only thing left was the signature that makes half of Laker Nation cheer and the other half clench their jaw? What if the organization chose comfort over chaos, shooting over sentiment, familiarity over mystery? Imagine a move that stabilizes the end of quarters, clarifies the pick-and-roll reads, and lets Anthony Davis breathe on short rolls while LeBron manages pace instead of miracles. Imagine the one skill we begged for in April suddenly walking back through the tunnel like he never left. What if the front office is reading the room? Exactly right this time-prioritizing structure. Accountability and shot diet, and the locker room won't have to guess what its point guard is trying to be on any given night. Tonight, I'm going to show you the breadcrumbs, the timing, the money logic, the rotation jigsaw, the coaching fit, and the locker room math that makes this feel real enough to reach out and touch. Without spoiling it before you've heard the full story, before we dive, do me one quick favor. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report, the home for smart, emotional, no-nonsense Lakers talk. If you live and breathe this team, hit subscribe, drop a like, and ring the bell so you never miss when the next twist drops. This is where rumors get context, and context turns into basketball truth. Here's the setup. The Lakers don't need a savior. They need a solvent. They need possessions that don't squeal when the pressure hits. A guard who can shoot a defense out of bad ideas. And a lead hand who understands the calendar October patience, December adjustment, April certainties. This roster is built to win the margins. One extra make per quarter. One cleaner entry to a D on time and on target. One less live ball turnover that feeds a 7-0 run in 2 gulps. There's also the LeBron AD bandwidth problem. Every year, we talk about saving their legs while asking them to do more. That's not strategy. That's wishful thinking. Real strategy is automating the simple stuff, which means you don't burn genius to break a basic. 2-on-2. Put a spacer handler on the floor who keeps the weak side tag honest, and suddenly, add short roll becomes a layup line again. Put someone who can live at 39% on catch and shoot and the corners. Stop being wallpaper. Fit isn't just film. It's identity. A guard returning to LA wouldn't be asked to be a hero, just a thermostat. When pace jumps and decision-making melts, steady the read. When the game slows the sludge, let the ball breathe early drag screen. Hit ahead, empty corner pick and roll. Quick pull-up before the big resets his feet. That's not a highlight. That's how playoff series turn in the soft middle of the second quarter, where no one thinks they're turning. Money matters, but clarity matters more. You can live with a cap sheet that pinches if the value lives in the shot profile and the lineup symmetry. A returning guard knows the playbook, knows the spacing real estate LeBron likes on delay action, knows where a D wants the pocket pass when help comes from the nail. Familiarity cuts the onboarding tax to nearly zero. That's the kind of marginal gain front offices drool over in the quiet part of the calendar. Now, think rotation. Start him? Maybe. Close with him? Possibly. But the real juice is in the second unit and the non-LeBron minutes, where the Lakers too often wander into the woods with a flashlight and no batteries. Give the second group a grown-up to run the show, and watch how suddenly role players act like themselves. A confident corner shooter hits more because he touches the ball in rhythm twice before he shoots it once. Sounds silly. It isn't. You can see why the rumor has oxygen. The timeline, the need, the personality profile, the coach's preferences, this all aligns. Glance across the league, and you'll find a handful of places where this player could thrive. But there's only one arena where the arc would bend into something like redemption mixed with unfinished business. That's catnip for a franchise that writes its history in comebacks. Now for the part that so many of you came here for the payoff you've been holding your breath to hear. Take a breath. Keep your eyes on the screen. Because here's what I'm hearing. Here's what the signs are saying. And here's why the logic breaks the way it does when you follow it all the way to the end. He's not coming back to the Lakers. The deal that makes sense on paper for LA is already signed, just not with LA. The guard you're picturing, the one whose fingerprints are all over our recent past, has chosen a different jersey. And the reason isn't petty, isn't personal, and it isn't even primarily about money. It's about structure, role clarity, and a promise that he won't be asked to shapeshift every other night to cover the scenes of a roster still figuring itself out. If you've been listening closely over the years, you heard him say the quiet part out loud. Some environments hand you a clear lane and some hand you a Rubik's Cube. He wants the lane, not the cube. He wants the screen angle called the same way every time. He wants to know which corner is his when the star isolates, which red is live on Horn's chest, which ghost screen is green lit when the defender top locks the pin. In a different city, that map is laminated. The basketball case for elsewhere is simple and sharp. There, he's slotted as a primary guard who can toggle the spacer without being blamed for not morphing into a downhill finisher on command. There, the second side actions run like clockwork, which amplifies his best gifts, timing, touch, and that quick trigger pull-up that punishes a big who sinks one step too deep. On defense, they're not promising he'll be an all-defender. They're promising the shell behind him won't ask him to be something he isn't on every trip. The human case matters too. Players don't forget the emotional geometry of a place. LA is pressure, lights, and college football on Sunday expectations. Some guys love that oxygen. Others get lightheaded. This guard's history here has highs and lows, applause and eye rolls, revivals and reckonings. He's not running from the noise. He's choosing a frequency that lets him hear himself. There's a difference, Dot. So why did this get so hot in Lakeland this week? Because the silhouette of the move makes perfect sense. Call it narrative gravity. Familiar name, familiar skill set, familiar cutscenes in your head of him, floating to the left wing in transition, and canning the 27-footer as Crypto.com starts to hum. Plus, the present roster begs for a chess piece that can start and finish possessions without drama. If you wanted to write a rumor that sounds real, you'd write this one. And look, there were real basketball arguments for it. Picture the staggered minutes. LeBron sits at the 3:30 mark. Guard reigns in the tempo. AD eats against benches. Shooters stay attached because they see the ball. Fourth quarter, LeBron back, guard slides the spacer, stresses the top lock with a flare screen, and suddenly the floor is a dance floor again. You don't need to squint to see it. It's right there, but reality rarely follows the storyboard we draw on napkins. Think about coaching voice. LA's staff is instilling its own version of structure film, habits, late game packages tailor-made for LeBron AD, yet it's still a construction zone. Elsewhere, the scaffolding is down. Practices on Tuesday feel like Thursdays, feel like Sundays. That's appealing for a guard whose best nights come when the choreography is crisp. Before the ball goes up, consider the cap choreography. The Lakers can make numbers dance. They always do. But can and should are cousins, not twins. Committing dollars and touches to a returning guard means committing to a certain shot economy, a certain crunch time hierarchy, a certain developmental tax on younger pieces who need touches to become playoff useful by spring. Another team can offer the same money without the same political calculus. Then there's the locker room chemistry calculus. The Lakers' room is passionate, veteran-heavy, and honest in the way only rooms with banners are honest. Bringing back a polarizing piece risks relitigating old arguments. Who handles? Who closes? Who gets the late clock grenade? Another city offers cleaner whiteboards and fewer ghosts. It's not better or worse. It's different. And different, for this player, is the deciding edge. Let's talk shot diet and scheme fit, because that's the crux. As a pace control guard with pull-up gravity, he thrives when the first read is honored by the system. Empty corner pick and roll, lift on the weak side. Skip when the nail stunts too deep, that's his music. In LA, some nights the score is jazz, some nights it's a film score, and some nights it's a drum line trying to cover for a trumpet with a cold. Elsewhere, it's the same song every night, and he knows the chorus. Zoom out to the Western race, and this choice also trims some friction. In LA, every off night is content. In a different market, a 5 for 15 game is a line in a box score, not a referendum on a worldview. That matters to decision makers, and it matters to players who feel the aftershocks of headlines in their legs. Stability isn't boring when it wins. Now, don't twist this into a shot at the Lakers. The front office has been measured. The staff is installing a framework that should age well. And the roster is not one move away from disaster or deliverance. It's one stretch away from cohesion. The not coming answer can still be the right answer for the Lakers if the plan is to protect possessions, grow continuity, and keep oxygen for a late season addition that answers more than one question at once. Where does that leave LA? With opportunity, oddly enough. Instead of revisiting a complicated pass, they can double down on role clarity for the guards in the room. Goose the second unit with more on-ball screening for wing shooters. And stress early offense to reduce the amount of half-court surgery required in crunch time. Add a low-mistake connector on the wing. Lean into a Diaz hub with a dribble handoff series that pulls two to the ball. And the offense can hum without having to buy back yesterday. For fans who feel let down, I get it. The idea was intoxicating. Walk in a familiar face who hits shots, calm the boat, and let the season recenter. But the Lakers' problems aren't romantic. They're arithmetic. Solve for turnover rate, solve for corner threes, solve for defensive rebounding after long misses, and you'll win the week. A familiar name doesn't automatically solve for that. The right habits do. For those worried about star buy-in, remember this. LeBron and AD have embraced plug-and-play grown-ups their whole time together. Give them teammates who know where to be and when to be there, and they'll do the rest. The best version of this team is still the one where those two don't have to color outside. The lines just a past fourth grade math. Would the reunion have worked? On some nights, absolutely. On others, it might have reopened old fractures about ball dominance, defensive targetability, and late-game pecking order. The safer bet, both ways, is what just happened. He chooses a place promising laminated structure, and the Lakers choose a lane that keeps their flexibility intact. There's an underappreciated piece in all of this. Trust. Players trust roles. Teams trust consistency. When those two trusts align, you get winning. When they cross wires, it gets noisy. Tonight's decision him elsewhere. Lakers staying on their current arc might be the quietest path to both sides feeling like themselves by March. So where do we channel the urgency? Into the details. Turn the ball over 2 fewer times each half. Get one more early drag screen each quarter. Make the weak side cut a rule, not a suggestion. If LA does that, the absence of a reunion becomes a footnote, not a headline. Winning rewrites rumor seasons in ink. If you rode the rumor wave and felt whiplash at the twist, you're not alone. But that's today's league. Information moves, decisions calcify fast. And the right fit is often the one that feels least dramatic. The Lakers didn't lose a savior tonight because they didn't need one. They just passed on a shortcut that might have led them back to the same fork. I'm going to be straight with you. This is a speculation piece. It's built on logic, fit, history, and the way basketball people talk when microphones are off. Until inks are dry and graphics are posted, every done deal can wobble. My personal opinion? The Lakers are better served doubling down on identity than chasing a reunion with a complicated past. And he's better served in a system that promises him the same answers every night. Before we close, I want to hear from you. Would you have taken the reunion warts and all for the shooting and the stability? Or do you prefer the clean slate and the chance to build something steadier with the guards already here? Drop your take below. Close with him, start him, or stay the course. I'll feature the smartest comments in the next video. This is Lakers News Fan Report, where we argue like family. Think like coaches and watch like it's church on Sundays. If you're still with me, you're my people. Tap subscribe, hit like if this helped make sense of the noise, and I'll see you after shoot around with the next layer of the plan.